The sky was clear blue, the sunlight just right, and a gentle breeze blew. Daniel and I walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau together. A gentle breeze brushed by, and seeing my hair in disarray, he instinctively raised his hand to tidy it up for me. Seeing this situation, the staff handling the marriage registration actively invited us to take a seat. "Sorry, we are here to process our divorce." Hearing my intentions, the staff all widened their eyes and exchanged glances. We were led into the room by the staff, and the clerk asked us about the reasons for our divorce. Daniel pressed his lips together and said nothing. I kindly spoke up for him. The relationship has broken down, and their personalities don't match. That said, everyone knows in their hearts that this is just empty talk. The real reason is that Daniel has someone else he wants to care for with all his heart. The girl is an employee at the coffee shop downstairs from his company. Commuting to and from work, caring companionship at the hospital bed, under the watchful eyes of many during the campus celebration. Providing her with designer outfits, presenting her with large bouquets, and even stating that the sponsorship of the celebration was based on the fact that his little girlfriend had a performance. She has seemingly made me her guardian deity. As for my reason for agreeing to the divorce, it is even simpler. I never use trash that others have touched. Looking at the slightly faded marriage certificate, the staff suggested, as usual, that we shouldn't act impulsively and should think about the days we once spent together in understanding and companionship. "I'm very busy, please hurry up." The man's cold words significantly accelerated the staff's processing speed. About half an hour later, Daniel and I each received a receipt for the divorce cooling-off period. He pressed his thin lips together. "Elena, where are you going?" "I'll take you." Without waiting for me to refuse, he quickly walked towards the parking lot and drove the car directly in front of me. I raised my hand, habitually wanting to open the passenger door and sit down. Suddenly, I remembered that we were no longer husband and wife. I calmly sat in the back seat under the man's complex and inscrutable gaze. The car smoothly drove forward, merging into the flow of traffic. Even sitting in the back, the half-face reflected in the rearview mirror shows that Daniel is in a good mood. "Could you please raise the temperature a bit? I have a pollen allergy, and the cold makes it worse." The man silently handed me a pack of tissues. I grew up with him, knowing each other since childhood. We were in love for 4 years and married for 7. He knows very well that I am not allergic to pollen. "Elena." "Mr. Daniel, please call me Ms. Elena or Elena." "All right, Elena. I'll talk to both our parents about the divorce. Daniel has always liked to take on everything about me, and this time he has once again taken it upon himself. In fact, he wasn't like this when he was a child. When Daniel was little, he was a tiny thing, thin as a twig and shy around others. In kindergarten, he was constantly bullied. As for me, with an outgoing personality and a youthful hatred for evil, I truly am a devil of the world. Considering that his mother always prepares various delicious foods for me, I have to take care of him a little. That was me, climbing up to the broadcasting platform in the garden with my little short legs, announcing to the entire kindergarten. "Daniel is under my protection, Elena." This allowed Daniel to safely navigate his kindergarten years, gradually growing up and becoming the heartthrob of junior and senior high school. At that time, I regarded Daniel as a good brother, but he kept pestering me every day to help him catch up on math, insisting that we take the same university entrance exam. Later, I really did go to the same university as he wished. And he also became the campus heartthrob of a university, and became my romantic stumbling block. With him around, even if I am as beautiful as a flower, with a bright personality and countless friends. For a full 4 years, not a single boy approached me, let alone confess his feelings. On graduation day, Daniel took me to the school science museum. With the help of his friends and the student council, he turned off the lights in the entire building, leaving only the vast universe I had never seen before illuminated for me. He held my hand, and I could feel that his palm was all sweaty. "Elena, will you marry me? I swear on my life that I will always treat you well." At that time, I did not hesitate. But today, faced with Daniel, I refuse without a second thought. "Mr. Daniel, that's my business, so you needn't trouble yourself, I will handle it well." The overly polite and distant tone made Daniel unconsciously furrow his brow. After a moment of silence in the car, he asked me with a half-smile, how I planned to explain it to my parents. Seeing that I had been silent, Daniel let out a scoff. Elena, don't tell me you're having second thoughts. At this point, I finally allowed myself to turn my gaze away from my phone and look at him. Can you please drive properly and not get distracted? As for the reason, I've already said I'll handle it myself. I certainly don't want to die on the street with my ex-husband on the very first day of being single again. Hearing my unreserved indifference, the man's grip on the steering wheel tightened more and more. Suddenly, music played inside the car. It was Daniel's phone connecting to the car's Bluetooth, and the ringtone was a sweet, syrupy love song favored by young girls these days. Daniel chose to answer, disregarding that I was still in the car. The girl's gentle and sweet voice echoed throughout the entire carriage. The girl was being coy, saying that she had been like this all day. Daniel glanced at me, saw that my expression didn't change, and smiled as he said to the girl, I know you're hungry, so I'll go buy you your favorite seafood congee and crab roe buns, okay? After a long chat, once the call ended, without Daniel needing to say anything, I pointed to the intersection ahead. Just drop me off at the intersection up ahead. The black car pulled over to the side of the road. As soon as I got out, I immediately left, looking impatient. It wasn't until the car disappeared from sight that I clutched my lower abdomen, drenched in cold sweat, feeling as if I might collapse onto the sidewalk. 2 months ago, Daniel called me to tell me that he had forgotten to take an important document. So I took the documents and drove to his company. On the way, a speeding truck overturned and crashed towards me due to an emergency brake. Fortunately, fate was not meant to end. But my left leg suffered a comminuted fracture due to the immense impact. That was me, tormented by pain and the fear of possible aftereffects, crying as I called Daniel countless times. But his phone was always turned off. It wasn't until later that I found out he had bought a ticket to Paris just because that girl said she had never seen the pigeons in France. Accompany her in Paris for a whole week. I didn't tell my parents about this because I was afraid of worrying them. In the end, it was my best friend Kathy who accompanied me for the surgery and the subsequent rehabilitation. At that moment, I decided that I no longer wanted that useless man. Returning home alone, I made myself a simple lunch. Just as I was slowly finishing up and getting ready to clean up, I received a WeChat message from Kathy. Elena, you haven't even truly divorced Daniel yet, and he dares to celebrate openly with his mistress. Does he have no shame? Kathy's message also included a photo of Daniel dining at a couple's restaurant with a young woman. It was that restaurant, the one I had texted Daniel about wanting to go to with him, only to be busy turned down by him. I suddenly felt a strong wave of nausea rise in my throat. In the blink of an eye, it seemed like I thought of something. The next day, I got up early and went to the hospital. Looking at my blood test report, the doctor said to me, Congratulations, Ms. Elena, based on the examination results, you are 13 weeks pregnant, which is 3 months. I was silent for a while. Please help me schedule the surgery. In the years before we got married, Daniel couldn't wait to be by my side every day. We both wanted a child so much. However, so many years have passed, and clearly both parties have no physical issues, yet they just can't conceive no matter what. Now we are divorced, yet I am pregnant. It's just that he had bad luck, coming at this time. As soon as I stepped out of the consultation room, I saw Daniel and his mistress Chloe standing at the door. My hand gripping the bag suddenly tightened. The divorce isn't finalized yet, and Chloe is already pregnant? Chloe's first reaction upon seeing me was to hide behind Daniel, as if just a moment too late would cost her her life. Daniel saw the turmoil in my expression. He wouldn't think I had come to follow them, would he? What are you doing here? Before I could respond, he continued, Elena, let's part on good terms. Chloe is not well, and your following me like this could easily scare her. Hearing this, I knew I had guessed correctly. You see clearly, I came first. And this is the obstetrics and gynecology department. Your little girlfriend isn't pregnant, is she? Daniel, don't forget, we haven't divorced yet. As soon as I finished speaking, I lifted my foot to leave, when I heard someone behind me calling my name. A handsome man in a white coat walked straight towards me, and at that moment, Daniel's gaze became even more piercing. Who is he, and how do you know him? The man paid no attention to Daniel's question and walked straight up to me, asking about my injuries and how my rehabilitation was going. I smiled and said, thanks to Dr. Xiao, I can basically walk normally now. Daniel suddenly walked up to me and grabbed my shoulders. What rehabilitation? Aren't you just lightly bruised? Why do you still need rehab? Daniel only heard from the secretary that I was injured, and he assumed that I had just a minor scrape, never considering that I could be hurt so badly. In fact, if he just paid attention to the length of my hospital stay or the way I walk, he would know that I couldn't possibly have just a minor bruise. Unfortunately, since I got hurt, he has either been busy with work or having sweet private meetings with Chloe. There is no extra energy left to pay attention to me. My legs have nothing to do with you, I said coldly. Don't forget, we are already getting a divorce. Upon hearing this, Daniel's expression visibly darkened. At that moment, Chloe inexplicably began to cry and confide in me. Her tears, like pear blossoms drenched in rain, made me seem like an aggressive mistress. Elena, I have always wanted to say I'm sorry to you. I have always advised Daniel to cherish you and treat you well. It's all my fault that things have turned out this way, whether you want to hit me, scold me, or do something to me. Faced with Chloe's pretentious confession and apology, I replied nonchalantly, first of all, I am an only child. Secondly, this isn't a movie, no matter how well you act, you can only deceive Daniel. Moreover, your acting skills are really not that great. Seeing that I remained non-committal and did not rush towards her as she had imagined, Chloe stiffened slightly, then immediately covered her lower abdomen, looking at Daniel with extreme grievance. The pain that lingered in the man's eyes was undeniable as he slowly pulled Chloe into his embrace, wiping away her tears while going mad at me. Elena, the divorce cooling-off period is 29 days. You know my temper, so don't think about causing trouble. If we really end up tearing our masks off, the one who will be embarrassed in the end will only be you. After Daniel pulled Chloe away, Dr. Xiao walked over to me. Elena, are you okay? People are like this, facing everything alone, feeling neither pain nor itch. However, once receiving the concern of others, one cannot help but feel aggrieved. I looked at Dr. Xiao with a weary face and said, can I ask you for a favor? Before I could say anything, Dr. Xiao had already agreed. With Dr. Zhao's help, the abortion surgery was successfully performed that same day. As I was being wheeled out of the operating room, I seemed to see a familiar figure. But due to being too exhausted, there was no time to think much, so I didn't pay much attention. After the surgery, Daniel never received any news from me, whether it was a phone call or a WeChat message. In the past, I was as clingy to him as I am now quiet. A week later, a tipsy Daniel brought Chloe back to our home. He kissed her all the way from the door to our bedroom, not knowing I was changing clothes in the dressing room. Excuse me, could you please make way? I have something to attend to outside. The air seemed to have solidified. Daniel saw me instinctively loosen my grip on Chloe, then turned and softly said to her, Chloe, you go out first. Chloe shot me a glare and obediently turned to leave the bedroom. Thick peach and beautiful plum, with a charm like the wind, while I turned to choose a bag, Daniel quietly approached me from behind. He stretched out his arms, trapping me between the cabinet and himself. Elena, wearing something like this at night, you can't be going to meet some wild man, right? I didn't expect that the market for the worn-out shoes I don't want would be this good. Like this? Or like that? A top paired with a short skirt, an outfit seen everywhere on the streets, yet in his mouth, it sounds so unseemly. Is there still a broken shoe? He really is a worthless man. When did this man become so shameless, and why didn't I notice it before? I pushed him, but he didn't budge. Then I had no choice but to take action. I slapped him hard across the face. What do you mean by this way? A worn-out shoe? Is this your quality? Don't forget that even though we are in the cooling-off period for the divorce, I can change my mind at any time. Don't blame me if I make your beloved treasure a lifelong mistress. Taking advantage of the moment when he was stunned by the slap, I suddenly pushed him away and strode out of the dressing room. In the living room, I unexpectedly ran into Chloe, who was drinking water from a cup. "Elena, you look so beautiful. Do you have a date?" "I didn't expect you to." Chloe hesitated to speak. Daniel bit down on his molars, as if he was about to say some more trash talk to insult me. I casually grabbed the water cup and splashed the warm water in it towards Chloe. "If you keep talking back like this, it won't be as simple as just washing your mouth out." The phone rang, and with a smile on my face, I walked towards the door as I answered it. Seeing my light-footed silhouette, Daniel followed behind with a cold expression. Until he saw me get into a silver sedan and leave without looking back, leaving him surrounded by exhaust fumes. "Elena, have you really made up your mind?" The man in the driver's seat spoke, his expression stern, his eyes slightly downcast, filled with an undeniable pain. "You know me, once I decide on something, I never change it." "Edson, do you want to help me?" I looked at Edson, staring at him without looking away. Edson lowered his head and chuckled softly, then unconsciously tightened his grip on the steering wheel, looking ahead. His voice was gentle, but his tone firm. "You know, Elena, I would never refuse any of your requests. I'll help you." The car stopped in front of the bar, the door opened, and he got out, pushing the door open as he entered. The atmosphere in the private room was lively, and they were already exchanging pleasantries before I arrived. "Elena, why did you take so long to arrive? Everyone has been waiting for you for half a day. It's just that the game you set up ended up with you being the last, so you have to drink as a penalty." I entered and comfortably took my seat, graciously accepting the invitation. These people are my capital, my connections, and the reason why Daniel's company can thrive. This private room is filled with friends I've known for many years, some from high school, and others I've met after Daniel started his business in college. Just a little, without exception, they are all clients of Daniel's company, his main clients, the big sponsors. It's just a difference between what was and what is now. Even if they were once partners, they are well known in the industry as someone Daniel cannot provoke. Seeing that the atmosphere was about right, I spoke up about the purpose of gathering them. "Daniel and I have divorced." The private room fell silent in an instant, leaving only the songs they had chosen playing continuously. Someone hurriedly stepped forward to stop the music. "How could it be? You've been in love for so many years, and you've been married for 7. Clearly recalling the saying about the 7-year itch. I said nonchalantly, "He cheated, went to the Civil Affairs Bureau last week, and his mistress is pregnant." The private room instantly erupted, with people cursing and standing up for me. But I don't care anymore, now I just want him to go back to being without me. It's not exactly revenge, it's more about seeing what he would be like if he had never had my help from the beginning. Is it still so successful, or is it a complete failure, living a life of mediocrity? I await the outcome with bated breath. Previously, his company was grateful for your help, but from now on, it won't be needed anymore. Let's stop everything. They would naturally agree to my words. After all, the previous help was all for my sake. At that time, Daniel was a junior. He had originally created a small game with his roommate just for fun, but unexpectedly, it caught the attention of a game company. At that time, they held themselves in high regard and naturally looked down on the terms offered by the game company, so they decided to start their own company and develop game software. In the first few months, I simply focused all my thoughts on the game, thinking that the company was progressing step by step, very smoothly. After the game development was mostly completed, problems began to arise one after another. To achieve profit in a disguised manner, the company needs to promote itself and also list on various platforms, all of which require professionals to negotiate with different companies. But Daniel and the others are typical tech guys. Getting them to negotiate business with the client is like asking for their lives. During that time, Daniel wore a frown every day. Although he was trying his best to suppress his emotions in front of me, it was still very evident that he was feeling anxious and restless inside. I couldn't bear to see him worry about these things every day, so I told him to focus on developing the game, and that I would help take care of the rest. At first, Daniel hesitated, thinking he could handle it all, and reassured me that he would take care of everything, telling me to just wait for graduation to marry him and become a wealthy wife. I neither agree nor disagree, so I let him go. Later, the company only had outflows and no inflows, and he became increasingly anxious. Until one day, he took the initiative to tell me that he wanted me to help him negotiate the game launch issues with other companies. I gladly agreed. In fact, during our last conversation, I had already started researching companies that could collaborate with his, essentially completing the preliminary research. With my cheerful personality and the connections I had made across various industries, Daniel's developed game quickly launched on all platforms. Since then, Daniel's company soared straight up, quickly earning the title of Internet Mogul in the year after our graduation, which was also the year after our wedding. Since then, I have been helping Daniel with various aspects of diplomacy. Media, trending on Weibo, the client platform, it's all me working behind the scenes for him. And he, after I helped him secure his first deal, gave me 1/6 of the shares. Now, what I need to do first is to sell my shares as quickly as possible before my friends start taking action. If I wait too long, they won't be worth anything. The night I sold the news about selling shares, I received a call from Daniel. The deafening roar came from the phone, as if I had committed some heinous act. Elena. Who gave you the guts to sell shares without informing me? How dare you? I fiddled with the manicure on my fingers and said casually, neither of us wants this anymore, so how could I possibly get involved with your company again? Daniel was so angry that he couldn't speak coherently, yet there was nothing he could do. After a while, the tone softened. If you want to sell me, I won't stop you. Just name your price and sell me. Wow, so generous. I won't ask for much, let's go by the market price. But this is just the price of the shares, the marital property will still be divided as agreed, with all savings, houses, cars, etc., being 60% for me and 40% for you. After hearing my words, Daniel fell silent for 2 seconds. I don't have that much on hand. How about this, you transfer the shares to me, and all the property during the marriage will be yours. I was taken aback for a moment, then I began to calculate the approximate price in my mind. No way, your 40% isn't enough to buy my shares, and besides, you've spent quite a bit on your little mistress, right? I have the right to reclaim that. Elena, don't go too far, know when to stop. He warned through gritted teeth, but I was unafraid. I advise you to come up with a better proposal, otherwise I might just sell to someone else. Alright, besides all the marital assets, I'll also give you my 3 large apartments in the city center that I owned before our marriage. Is that enough? Hearing this, I smiled faintly, then let's add a bit more. I'll come to the company tomorrow to have you sign the contract. One morning 2 weeks later, I arrived home and opened the door. As soon as I entered, I saw a man sitting on the sofa, and instinctively, I was startled. It's Daniel. He must not have slept all night, and his white shirt is all wrinkled. The eyes were deep and inscrutable, leaving one unable to understand their meaning. Daniel gritted his teeth and shouted at me, Elena, what have you done to Chloe this time? As soon as Daniel opened his mouth, the sound that came out was hoarse and unpleasant. Not only did I feel startled, but even he was taken aback. What have I done? Besides, whatever I did has nothing to do with you now, right? I said indifferently. Daniel's face grew increasingly grim. Where on earth did you go last night and not come home? The man's tone was as if he were interrogating a criminal, which made me very uncomfortable. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. Whether I go home or not should have nothing to do with you, right? Just as I was about to ignore him and return to the bedroom, Daniel coldly called out to me, Elena, I'm warning you for the last time, don't let your friends harass Chloe, my patience has its limits. As soon as he said this, I immediately understood what he meant. Kathy is a renowned barista. A couple of days ago, to get back at me, Kathy publicly demanded to make coffee with Chloe in front of all the staff and customers at the cafe. After taking a sip, Chloe was judged on everything from the grind to the temperature to the technique. Criticized by name, she ran out of the cafe in tears and almost got hit by a car. After taking a sip, Chloe was judged on everything from the grind to the temperature to the technique. Criticized by name, she ran out of the cafe in tears and I smiled and looked at Daniel, whose face had suddenly darkened, and continued, "It's not just you, my patience has its limits too. This house was bought by me before marriage, it is my premarital property. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I will have someone come to change the locks. You should hurry and pack your things, I won't wait past that time. If you're not finished by 3, I will inform the cleaning staff to remove everything. As for where it will be taken, I assume you wouldn't want to know, right?" Having said that, I walked back to the bedroom and slammed the door shut. By the time I came out again, Daniel had already left in a huff. The next day, Kathy excitedly informed me that there would be a class reunion next week. But unfortunately, I had other engagements that day. After hearing me mention the location of the social gathering, Kathy said that the party would also be held there. Then, under her repeated assurance that Daniel would not be there, I agreed to show my face. But when I pushed the door open, I was greeted by the sight of that despicable couple. Chloe intimately linked her arm with Daniel's, as if she had already succeeded in taking her place, full of pretentiousness. During university, Daniel and I were the most famous couple in school, a perfect match of talent and beauty. The wedding held right after graduation was known by everyone in the school. Nowadays, in front of his former classmates, the two are inseparable, their demeanor intimate, exchanging pleasantries with many of the professors who taught us. However, the expressions of the classmates and teachers in the box were not very good. My relationship with my classmates and teachers is much better than Daniel's with them. I don't know where he got the courage to bring his mistress openly to the class reunion. The teacher saw me and walked over. "Elena, what are you all doing?" "Teacher, Daniel cheated, the one he was with. After I found out, I divorced him. I'm currently in a cooling off period." The teacher and classmates exchanged glances upon hearing my words. The classmates who were chatting with Daniel and Chloe suddenly turned cold. I have no shame about divorce. Today, I am going to nail Daniel and Chloe to the pillar of shame and burn them. Daniel never expected that I would say it outright. I saw him glaring at me with wide, angry eyes, while I simply nodded slightly at him. Then I turned to chat and laugh with the teacher and classmates. When the time is about right, I will ask the teacher for leave. After all, there are social engagements to attend. As soon as I stepped out, someone grabbed my arm from behind, and when I turned around, I saw it was Daniel. "Isn't the current problem of the company caused by you?" "Oh? Have they already started to take action?" "It's been 29 days since the cooling off period ended, tomorrow will be the 30th day, so I should be able to go and get the divorce certificate." "What does your company have to do with me?" "I've already sold you the shares, and the business has completely withdrawn. Now you want to cling to me?" Daniel was taken aback, he probably didn't expect that I could just let go of the company's matters so easily. "I have something to do." "Oh right, tomorrow is the last day of the cooling off period. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 a.m. the day after tomorrow." After saying that, she turned and went to another private room, thinking that making money was more important than getting entangled with him. As soon as I pushed open the private room door, I heard Edson's greeting. "Elena, I've saved you a seat, come sit." Edson whispered to me, "Why did you come so late? Hurry and eat something." I met Edson a long time ago, he attended the same high school as Daniel and me. It's just that he is 2 years ahead of me. When I was a freshman, Daniel was already a senior. I have a wide circle of friends, and I heard that Edson, who is in his senior year, is not only tall and good-looking, but also very intelligent. He was already accepted early by Q University in his junior year. Since then, I have always wanted to get to know this legendary school heartthrob and academic genius. Later, during a break for exercises, I was tripped by a classmate stepping on my shoe, and that day Edson happened to be supervising. After he took me to the infirmary, I took the initiative to leave him my contact information. Later, I kept greeting and chatting with him whenever I saw him at school. Because of him, I also joined the student council and worked in the publicity department with Edson. However, he was just a nominal minister at the time, while I was responsible for designing the promotional posters for various events, based on my years of experience in painting. My gradual familiarity with him began with the promotional activities of the school sports meeting. He is responsible for the overall coordination of the publicity department. I started to communicate with him more to verify and discuss the content of the poster. Chatting with Edson is very comfortable, there is always a lot to talk about, and we can discuss any topic under the sun. So it was inevitable to become close to him. Even after he graduated and went to university, we never lost contact. Unlike Daniel, who is taciturn and always needs me to find a topic. If I didn't take the initiative, Daniel might not reach out to me for 10 days or even half a month. The title of the high school heartthrob that Daniel held did not fall to him until after Edson graduated. The weather on the day we got our divorce certificate was similar to the day we received our marriage certificate. It is just entered autumn, it's not so hot anymore, but neither is it the bleakness of autumn winds. Temperature, sunlight, gentle breeze. Everything is just right. As soon as I stepped out of the hall, I saw Chloe waiting at the door, her demeanor eager. Seeing us come out, she immediately walked towards Daniel, as if hoping that Daniel would go in with her right away to get the marriage certificate sorted out. I walked towards Edson, who was waiting for me outside. Chloe saw that the man waiting for her was not only no worse than Daniel, but even better, and her heart felt increasingly unbalanced. Is that Elena's boyfriend? Did she just get divorced and already have a boyfriend? Hearing this, I stopped in my tracks, turned around, and walked towards Chloe, raising my hand to slap her hard across the face. Your love for being a mistress is your own business, it doesn't mean everyone else is the same as you. Take good care of your mistress, I'm not someone who shows mercy. Ignoring Daniel's unpleasant expression, she turned and walked out, getting into the car and leaving. On the car, I told Edson not to worry about me anymore and to start pulling back completely. Previously, the issues with Daniel's company were merely minor troubles, considering that my divorce certificate had not yet arrived. Now everything has settled, and I can let go and do it. Less than a month later, I saw news about Daniel on the television. The company's sales staff have almost all resigned, and the business is nearly at a standstill. The new ones are all completely unfamiliar, to get accustomed to it will take at least a month. At that time, it was uncertain whether the company would still exist. Another half-month passed, and I returned home after having dinner with Kathy. From a distance, I saw a figure lingering at my doorstep. It wasn't until the car pulled in that I realized it was Daniel. Why is he coming to find me instead of sweetly spending time with his beloved mistress? Elena, you're back. How have you been lately? As soon as Daniel starts talking, I get a headache. What is this all about again? Stop, Mr. Daniel, please just call me Ms. Edson. May I ask what brings you here? Daniel, interrupted by me, looked momentarily dazed. Elena, was it you who did the work for my company? What's wrong with your company? Can you stop pushing everything onto me? Am I some kind of worthless person? Seeing my face full of impatience, Daniel seemed a bit at a loss. Mr. Daniel, please leave. Ever since I sold my shares, I haven't interfered in any matters of your company. If there are issues, don't come looking for me. I opened the door to go home, and before I could close it, I heard Daniel say, Chloe broke up with me. After the company got into trouble, she ran off with a large sum of my money and had an abortion. I called the police. My hand paused as I closed the door. What does that have to do with me? In the future, you two don't need to discuss your matters with someone like me who is unrelated. Oh, right, Mr. Daniel, the day we ran into each other at the obstetrics and gynecology clinic, you asked me why I was there. Daniel was stunned for a while, as if he had thought of something, looking at me with red-rimmed eyes, unable to say a word. Then I closed the door. Daniel's last words echoed in my mind, is it possible for us to ever be again? What is he thinking? Things have come to this point, and he's still thinking about getting back together. I'm not a masochist. Since then, I have not seen Daniel again. I only keep receiving news about Daniel from others. Daniel reported to the police, and after they caught Chloe, they discovered that she was a habitual con artist, sentenced to 20 years. Daniel is neither the first nor the last among those who have been deceived, he is simply the one who has suffered the greatest loss. The game developed by Daniel has been continuously removed from major platforms, resulting in incalculable losses. The new recruits can't negotiate with other platforms either, so they can only drag this out. Daniel's company's shareholders are withdrawing their investments one after another, facing bankruptcy. Daniel's company declared bankruptcy, and he himself is missing. Later, I heard Edson say that Daniel's company returned to our courtyard, and he used the last 200,000 he had to buy a burial plot. We have erected a grave for our child, adorned with clothing and a crown. No, our child has not been born, so it can't be considered a grave of clothes and hats. I heard that he goes to the cemetery every day to visit his child's gravestone. He insists that it is a daughter, and the information on the gravestone also indicates a daughter. I heard that his parents arranged countless blind dates for him, but when the women learned that his previous marriage ended because he cheated, there were no further developments. I heard that Daniel has been silent for a long time, not saying a word. I heard that his parents moved out of the compound for Daniel. I heard that, gradually there was no news of Daniel, and in the 3rd year after my divorce, I agreed to Edson's pursuit. A year later, Edson and I got married. The wedding was very grand, and although it was my 2nd marriage, Edson didn't care at all about that. Don't make a fuss, I'm on my 2nd marriage, and you're throwing such a big event. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? I toyed with his ear in my hand while continuously persuading him with my words. Edson lay in my arms, talking while his head kept rubbing against my belly. You are on your 2nd marriage, but I am on my 1st, so let's treat it like a 1st marriage. Let's see who dares to mock. I had no idea before we got together that Edson was such a spoiled brat, who loved to act cute. Before, it was the image of a successful and mature man. Why are you so fond of being unreasonable? You weren't like this before. I can only smile helplessly. We weren't together before, always putting on a show. Now that we have it all, what do I need to pretend for? He, on the other hand, is quite self-righteous. At the wedding, it seemed like I saw Daniel. He stood in the corner, looking a bit gaunt, wearing the suit I had bought for him before we got divorced. The clothes that once fit snugly now seem a bit loose and empty. He held a bouquet in his hands that resembled the one he had used to propose to me back then. When I looked over there again, it was completely empty. Maybe I was mistaken.